LEGO's hidden items like Power Stars and Chaos Emeralds in their Mario and Sonic sets, which are only 2 of the 84 gaming things you're gonna see in this video. But first, do you know what happens when you leave a LEGO Mario figure alone for just a few minutes? If you put the LEGO Mario figure down and just leave him alone for a while, he doesn't sit there doing nothing. He starts to yawn and eventually nods off and snores to himself. Most people assume it's just a battery saver, but it's actually a callback to a certain Mario game. Back in Super Mario 64, if you stopped touching the controller, Mario would sit down, start falling asleep, then curl up in a ball and just go to bed. And there's a second half to this animation in LEGO that's even sneakier. When you actually do wake him up, he calls out for Luigi. Fans found this out back in April of 2021, and at the time, it made no sense because LEGO hadn't even made a Luigi figure yet. But then, later that year, LEGO actually released one. So a lot of people think LEGO was foreshadowing it with that Mario line. If you think this is cool though, there's a color sensor hidden between Mario's shoes, and it reads whatever brick he's standing on. Yellow turns into the desert, green becomes grass, blue becomes water, and red becomes lava. But there's something extra with this one. He gets worried the second he lands on red, and if you leave him standing there for too long, he screams, his eyes turn into 2 X's, and he can't collect any coins for a few seconds. He basically dies from a brick, and the color sensor isn't even the only thing reading the world around him. If you put the cat Mario suit on him and put him against a wall, he'll start making cat noises and climb for extra coins. But lava isn't the only thing that can hurt him either. Once LEGO added the soda jungle biome, purple bricks started counting as poison. So when he stands on them, he starts taking damage just like he does with the lava. But here's the part most people never figure out. If you actually pick him up and shake him after stepping on something purple, you fling the poison off, cancel the damage, and earn coins for doing it. It's a super easy way to farm coins, and almost nobody does it on purpose. But did you know LEGO broke one of their biggest rules with this theme? We all know that stickers suck. But no matter what, we always have to apply them, right? Well, not this time. The scan code stickers come pre-applied straight out of the box, which had never happened in LEGO's history before this theme. However, they did have a good reason. The figures need these codes to work properly, so if a kid slaps one on all weird, it probably just wouldn't work. But there are only good things to say about the LEGO NES set. You probably know that the retro TV scrolls a level of Super Mario Bros. When you turn the crank. But what you might not know is that the plate sitting on top of that TV comes off, and underneath it is a scan code. If you put Mario up there and crank the lever, he makes sound effects to match whatever's happening on the screen. The NES is full of little secrets like this, but the buildable cartridge is the best one by far, because you can put it into the console just like you can in real life, and it even locks in place with a satisfying click. But if we're talking about hidden details, no set does it better than the question block set. And one you might not know about is the number of pieces. The set has exactly 2064, which is referencing Super Mario 64. Obviously, because of sets like the Saturn V rocket, we know this wasn't a mistake. It's just a little harder to notice because it isn't the entire piece count this time, only the last 2 digits. Here's the funny thing about that set though. You know how the official name of the set has Super Mario 64 in it? Well, it's funny because that block never actually showed up in Super Mario 64. That game had red, green, and orange blocks, and they had exclamation marks on them, not question marks. The yellow question mark block wasn't even added to Super Mario 64 until the DS remake came out years later. So they kind of messed up the name of the set, but it's so iconic that no one even cares. But let's open it up, because there are so many references hiding inside. If you look behind Peach's castle, you'll find a brick-built version of Yoshi, which feels completely random, but it actually isn't at all. When you collect all 120 stars in Super Mario 64, Yoshi shows up in that exact place. For some reason, he's one of the rewards for 100%ing the game, so LEGO put him there too for all the completionists. But there's more to this castle than just this. The whole front of it pops off to reveal the inside, where printed tiles recreate the famous painting portals to different worlds. There are 3 in total, all referencing different ones, and they're super easy to miss, just like the detail in the Bob-omb Battlefield section. Up on the little floating island, there's a single red block, and to most people, it's just a red block. But to real Mario fans, that floating island is exactly where you find the wing cap, the power-up that gives Mario wings and lets him fly around. LEGO referenced it in the most subtle way possible, but then there are the power stars. If you scan the rug inside Peach's castle with your Mario or Luigi figure, you can unlock 10 hidden stars by doing very specific things around the set. The cool part is that all 10 are named after real missions from Super Mario 64. There's Hot Foot It into the volcano, where you scan the middle of the volcano, Slip Slide in Away, where you scan the ice over on Cool Cool Mountain, Explore the Castle Grounds, where you scan the grass. They didn't just bury rewards in this set. They rebuilt 10 actual missions from the game, and one of those 10 goes way deeper than the rest. To earn the star they call the perfect jump, you make Mario jump over and over again, and the way he moves, plus the noises he makes while he's doing it, is a nod to the backwards long jump. If you don't know what that is, it's a famous glitch that speedrunners abuse to fly through locked doors and break the game wide open. It's a super famous move in the speedrunning world, but my favorite of these 10 missions might be the one for the TikTok clock. In the original game, this is the level you reach by jumping into a giant clock on the wall, and the speed of everything inside depends on where the clock's hands are pointing when you jump in. So how do you unlock that star in LEGO? You scan the figure on the scan code, lay it sideways, then turn it like a key. The way you handle it in real life matches the level. Clearly, getting all 10 of these stars isn't very easy, but there's something waiting for you if you do. When the set first launched, one of the designers said if you manage to collect every single one, there's a final Easter egg waiting for you, but he wouldn't say what it was. So people had to go and find it for themselves. And it turns out, once you get all 10, both Mario and Luigi give you 100 coins. This is an insane amount, and the animation goes on for way longer than it should, I won't lie. But this next detail is somehow more hidden than this. Every single LEGO Super Mario set is built to connect to every other one through base plates. You're not really buying separate sets. You're buying pieces of one giant level that's snapped together into a single world. Hardly anybody talks about this, but to me, it's one of the coolest things in the entire theme. LEGO also makes bigger Mario sets for adults, and the play features here really stand out. Take the Mario and Yoshi set, for example. It's a really cool bitmap set of Mario riding Yoshi that actually moves. There's a handle at the base that makes Yoshi run, and a dial behind his head that pops his tongue out. But the thing that people skip right over is Mario himself. His cape is attached to him on a hinge, so when Yoshi runs, the cape actually flaps behind him. Carl Miriam and Dare McCabe are the guys who built this set, but they're also the masterminds behind the Question Block and the NES, so they clearly know how to make a good Mario set. And it only gets better with the Bowser set. He's got a hidden fireball loaded up in his mouth, and the thing no one warns you about is that it fires automatically the second you open his mouth past a certain point. So if you wanted to make him roar for a pose, you might get hit with a trans-orange missile. There's a lot more hidden stuff than just this though. A button tucked under his shell swings his head and neck around, and you can even pose his eyes and eyebrows with your hands. ones. The coolest thing about this set though is that LEGO built a life-sized version to hype the release. It was 14 feet tall and used 663,900 bricks, so it definitely got people's attention. But I can't ignore what's hiding in Peach's castle. There's a nice little cake sitting on a platform, and it looks completely normal. But if you jump on the lever that's next to it really hard, a Goomba comes bursting out of it. The castle also tells a quiet little story with its colors, if you're really paying attention. When you get to the throne room, the whole thing is decked out in purple and black, and that's wrong, because Peach's colors are white and red. Purple and black are Bowser's. The set never says a single word about it, but the message is obvious once you notice. Bowser has taken over the castle. And sure enough, there's a play feature that brings this message to life. There are also paintings hanging on the wall inside, and one of them is a Bob-omb. If you knock it off, there's a scan tag waiting behind it that rewards you for beating one. And if that setup sounds familiar, it should, because it's another nod to Super Mario 64. In that game, the paintings on the walls were portals you jumped into to reach each level. And LEGO did this same thing in the Question Block set. Clearly, they really like these paintings, but the Luigi's Mansion sets take that hidden object idea and run away with it. In the Haunt and Seek set, there's a bedroom, a dining room, and a bathroom, and every one of them is hiding a jewel. But the fun part is how you find them. To get them, you have to jump on the bed, smack the dining table, and flush the toilet. It's taken straight from the Luigi's Mansion games, where half the fun was moving the furniture just to see what was inside. And that's only part of what's in this set. The entire central hallway spins around so you can get to each room. The first plate changes the music to a spooky mansion theme the second you scan it. And you can even rescue a toad who's been trapped inside a painting on the wall. There's also a haunted pool table that twists around when you pull a lever, so you have to time it just right to grab all 3 coins before it spins them out of reach. It's genuinely super interactive, but when Donkey Kong joined the theme, his sets came with this stuff too. Donkey Kong's treehouse has a buildable TV, a radio, and an actual secret compartment built into it. And it's interactive on top of that. You can sit Mario on Donkey Kong's back and ride him around, take a nap in the hammock, and even play the conga drums, all just to rack up coins. But the Diddy Kong's minecart ride set has one of the most satisfying tricks in the entire theme. There's a rock sitting on the track, and you can make it explode to reveal a bunch of bananas hiding inside. Then over at Funky Kong's shop, there's a buildable airplane with not one, but 2 separate scan tags built into it. One fires when you buy balloons from him, and the other one fires when you take the plane up to fly. Honestly, Mario is one of the only themes left that are this playable. It just gets a bad rap because it doesn't have any minifigures. LEGO Sonic is the complete opposite though, and there's something really cool about this theme that almost nobody talks about. The Green Hill Zone set from 2021 is the Big Ideas set, and it's absolutely loaded with references. But the one I want to start with is in the instruction manual itself. While you're building, Sonic runs along a progress bar at the bottom of every single page of the instructions. And when you get to a page with a brick-built badnik enemy, he gets hit and loses his rings, just like in the game. Then he recovers and keeps running through the rest of the instructions. Most people flip through them so fast that they don't even notice this. But this set is also built around a mechanic from the game. The set is split into 7 steps, and each one has a Chaos Emerald hidden somewhere in the build. So as you make the set, you're collecting all 7 emeralds one by one. And when you finish, there's a dedicated gem stand where you display all 7 together, which is exactly what happens when you beat the game. And there's actually another Easter egg in the instructions for this exact concept. Page 181 shows the set in its final form, and this time, the progress bar has Sonic celebrating with every Chaos Emerald in a circle above his head. When you collect them all in-game, they're usually in some sort of circle, so this is also taken straight from the game. But the set also has a high score table in the back that most people completely ignore, and it's absolutely packed with secrets. The top score by VIV is 281,020, which is the birth date of a family member of Viv Granel, the fan designer who submitted the set to LEGO Ideas. Then LCK scores 76,642, which spells out Sonic on an old phone keypad. And Sam scores 1,991, which is the year Sonic first launched. But this set has item boxes where you can swap out the monitor screens. The panels pop off, and the set comes with 5 different options: Ring, Extra Life, Invincibility, Shield, and Speed Shoes, all of which are different power-ups from the original game. And if you look at the lower left corner of the screen, there's a life counter printed on it. So not only can you change which power-up is displayed, but the whole thing looks exactly like it would in-game. But one of the coolest things about this set, and Sonic as a whole, is the way LEGO used a certain part. The golden rings, which are some of the most iconic things in all of Sonic, are recreated using yellow minifigure life preservers. That's the round floaty piece that minifigures hold in sets based on the beach. It's such a simple reuse of an old piece that somehow works perfectly. But the last detail in this set I want to talk about is a deep cut that casual fans would never catch. Tucked into the figure lineup is the Phantom Ruby, the reality-bending gem from Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces. These are games from 2017, and including a reference to them in a set based on the Green Hill Zone, which is from 1991, is genuinely wild. Most people who bought this set probably had no idea what it was, but for some reason, it's impossible to subscribe to my channel in 3 seconds or less. I'm gonna run a timer, so let me know if you beat it. Anyways, now I'm gonna talk about some details that run across the whole theme. When you rescue animals from badniks in the sets, they're the actual classic critters from Sonic 1. Flicky, Pocky, Pecky, Becky, Cucky, all of them. But here's the thing nobody talks about. The molds those animals are built from originally came from the LEGO Friends theme. The little bird and animal pieces that appear throughout LEGO Sonic are repurposed too, just like the rings. But LEGO also made a mistake with one of these animals that's still on their website. The chicken's actual name is Cucky. That's the canonical name. But LEGO.com's official product description calls it Clucky, which is just wrong. Brickset reviewers called this out directly, and for some reason, it still isn't fixed. But this isn't even the only obvious mistake they made, and fans caught this next one almost immediately. Near the end of the announcement trailer for the theme, Sonic's torso is completely wrong. It uses the classic torso from the LEGO Ideas set, which has a circular belly, instead of the modern upside-down egg shape he's supposed to have. It's a super easy moment to miss, and most people did, but hardcore Sonic fans spotted it and talked about it for weeks. But that same trailer also has an Easter egg hidden in the background. In the LEGO Sonic Show promo, there's a fake live stream chat on screen. And if you read the chat, the viewers are Kirk Thornton, who is Shadow's actual voice actor, Karen Strassman, who voices Rouge, and Takashi Ayuzuka, who's the head of the Sonic team at Sega. You have to have insane Sonic knowledge to clock these names. But let's get back to actual sets. The Speed Sphere Challenge set from 2023 has a little beach scene built into it, which seems completely random, but fans pointed out that this specific arrangement is inspired by the cover of Sonic the Hedgehog issue 41. It's specifically made after cover B, but this same set also has the iconic loop-de-loop from the Green Hill Zone, and it isn't a custom-made piece for this set. It's built using pieces from the stunt sub-theme in LEGO City. The more you look into it, the more you realize that LEGO Frankensteined a lot of iconic pieces for this theme. theme. But the Loop Challenge set also has Eggman's mech, which actually recreates how the boss fight works in-game. The machine splits in two, and a transparent pillar raises the upper half to mimic how Eggman hovers during battle. There's also a trap where hitting a pink disc tips the bridge and takes out the Chopper Badnik. I didn't think they could, but LEGO built actual game mechanics into some of these sets. But moving on to the Tails Workshop set, there's a small yellow device inside the workshop that looks like the Miles electric gadget from the second live-action Sonic movie. And this is the device that Tails uses in the entire thing. It's really easy to miss because the workshop has a lot of stuff going on, but it's a direct nod to the movie. And Amy's Animal Rescue Island set has a sneaky hidden detail too. Crab Meat, the classic Badnik, is sitting on some rocks at the back of the island. And if you hit the round pink tile on the set, Crab Meat topples over and gets defeated. But what most people miss is that defeating him also reveals a hidden Chaos Emerald underneath him. So the set has a functional mechanic that rewards you with a secret emerald, just like in the games. But Tails' Adventure Boat is a very interesting set for a very weird reason. LEGO seemed to just invent a boat called the Sea Fox 2. Brickset pointed out that there's no canonical boat like this in Sonic lore besides Tails' original Sea Fox submarine from Tails' Adventure on Game Gear. LEGO just kind of created a boat that doesn't exist in the games and gave it a name. But that same Tails boat set has a mistake just like the Clucky one from before. The pink fish Badnik in the set is Jaws, which is a classic enemy from Sonic 1, but the box labels it as Jaws with a Z. The problem is that Jaws with a Z is actually a completely different Sonic enemy, a long blue shark. So LEGO mixed up two Sonic robots with similar names and printed the wrong one on the official packaging. But that boat also has one of the best deep cut references in the entire theme. There's a printed tile on it that Brickset called a direct throwback to Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. That's the puzzle game from 1993 that most casual Sonic fans have probably never even touched. It's way more specific than anything from popular Sonic games, so Brickset clearly has a very good eye. This set also has a funny side to it, because Sonic is jet skiing behind the boat. This sounds fun until you remember that Sonic can't swim. It's one of his most famous weaknesses in the game. Falling in water is basically instant death for him. Brickset specifically called out this joke in their review and noted that LEGO at least had the decency to give him a life jacket, which was very thoughtful of them. Now, Shadow's Escape set gave Shadow a minifigure for the first time, and LEGO put a lot of work into it. He has a front and back printed torso, dual molded and printed legs, and printed arms with golden highlights to capture his look accurately. For a long time, this was the only way to get a Shadow minifigure anywhere in LEGO Sonic. And considering how many people wanted Shadow specifically, the detail level on the figure was received really well. But LEGO Shadow has a detail that only makes sense if you know his backstory. In the Supersonic vs. Egg Drillster set, Shadow has a desk with a computer, and the screen shows Maria Robotnik. Maria is the girl who Shadow was created with on the Space Colony arc, and her death is the reason behind his moral code and character as a whole. She's essential to everything about who Shadow is, so LEGO included her to show that they really know the story. But the Shadow the Hedgehog display set has two hidden details that you'd only find if you look inside. There are 3 yellow rings hidden inside the stand at the base. And inside Shadow's actual head, where his brain would be, there's a Chaos Emerald. It's here because that's literally how Shadow's powers work in the games. His Chaos abilities come from the emeralds, so LEGO built his power source into his head to reference it. Moving on though, the Supersonic figure first showed up in the Supersonic vs. Egg Drillster set. This set was $80 retail when it came out, which is pretty expensive, especially since it was the only way to get this really cool minifigure. But then LEGO put it in the Bio Lizard set at basically basically half the price. So if you wanted Super Sonic but didn't want to pay full price for the Egg Drillster set, you had to wait 6 months and just hope LEGO made a cheaper set with him. But the Bio Lizard set itself has a detail that recreates something really specific from Sonic Adventure 2. A pair of lime green rods run from the Bio Lizard's head to the thing on its back, and it's not just decoration. The Bio Lizard in-game is on a life support system, and it's part of why the boss fight is designed the way it is. So LEGO built the life support into the physical model. But someone I haven't mentioned yet is Knuckles. And the Knuckles Guardian mech set is important for 2 characters at once. It's the first time Knuckles appeared in physical minifigure form anywhere in LEGO Sonic. But it's also the debut of Rouge the Bat in minifigure form too. And LEGO gave Rouge her own brick-built glider specifically from the scene where she's trying to steal the Master Emerald from Knuckles, which is the actual plot of their rivalry in Sonic Adventure 2. But there's also a reward hidden for people who buy 2 Knuckles sets in particular. The Master Emerald holder from the Guardian mech set fits perfectly into an empty space in the Knuckles and Master Emerald Shrine set. LEGO designed the 2 sets to physically connect, so if you have both, you can make this happen. It's not advertised anywhere on the packaging, so you'd only discover it by owning both and noticing the gap. But there's a way deeper cut hiding in the Knuckles and Master Emerald set. Both Amy and Knuckles have weapons, but along with her Pico hammer, Amy also has a catapult, and you'll see that LEGO has us putting grapes in it. She's supposed to use these on the Badnik in the set, and to make sure she doesn't run out of ammo, there's a grape vineyard built on the left side. But this is also a reference to Knuckles as a character, because he really likes grapes. Between this, the picture of Shadow and Maria, and Sonic wearing a life jacket, LEGO did a really good job with character-specific details in this theme. But not everything in LEGO Sonic is good. The 2025 version of the Speed Sphere launcher quietly lost a detail that old versions have. The original launcher had a printed spring pad design that matched the classic Sonic aesthetic. The 2025 version is just a plain piece with no printing. It's a downgrade that most people would never notice, but collectors who compared the 2 versions side by side caught it immediately. But did you know LEGO references their own video games too? Especially popular ones like LEGO Star Wars. If you've ever played any of the LEGO Star Wars video games, you know about the hot tub stormtroopers. In LEGO Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, and LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, there's this running gag where you can find stormtroopers just relaxing in hot tubs. It makes absolutely no sense and has nothing to do with the actual movies, but it became one of the most beloved Easter eggs in the games. So when LEGO released the UCS Death Star in 2025, they made a whole segment to honor the joke. But the hot tub stormtrooper isn't the only video game reference in the Death Star set. There's also a mini kit hidden inside, and if you've played any LEGO video game ever made, you know exactly what mini kits are. There are these collectible objects scattered throughout every level, and collecting them unlocks special bonus content like ships or characters. So LEGO putting a physical mini kit in the Death Star set is such a perfect tribute to the video games, but that's not all there is. Right next to the mini kit is a pile of studs too. Now obviously studs are a thing in regular LEGO, but in the games they're used as a currency, and every color is right here in this pile. But it's not just the Death Star. The Arkham Asylum set has them too. They're sitting in a dumpster on the outside of the set. And I don't know about you, but there's no way I'd ever throw out a purple stud. Anyways, continuing with LEGO Star Wars games, the Skywalker Saga actually references the LEGO Star Wars games that came before it. You can find posters advertising older LEGO Star Wars games in a bunch of different levels. There's one for LEGO Star Wars 2 in A New Hope, and on Naboo, you can find one for LEGO Star Wars the video game. But the Skywalker Saga has another Easter egg that's even weirder, and it connects back to a physical LEGO set. In the 2018 Star Wars Advent Calendar, there was this random minifigure of a snowman wearing a Rebel pilot's helmet. At the time, it just seemed like a holiday-themed figure that didn't make any sense in the Star Wars universe. But 4 years later, when the Skywalker Saga came out, the game developers used the design in a cutscene for Obi-Wan's Force Ghost on Hoth. It's the complete opposite of what usually happens, because this time, the set inspired the game. But sometimes, LEGO references video games that are completely random, and LEGO Lord of the Rings has an Easter egg that pays tribute to Assassin's Creed. In the Assassin's Creed games, whenever you jump off something really high and perform a leap of faith, you hear this iconic eagle screech sound effect. It's one of the most recognizable sounds in all of gaming, and in LEGO Lord of the Rings, there's a certain spot you can jump off of and hear the exact same sound effect. It's such a random crossover that most people probably didn't even catch it unless they were huge fans of both franchises. Now let's talk about Zelda, because the Great Deku Tree set is absolutely packed with references. First off, the set comes with an ocarina as a minifigure accessory. In the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, the ocarina is Link's most important item. He uses it to play magical songs that teleport him around the world, change the time of day, and solve puzzles. The ocarina is so iconic that the entire game is named after it. So what choice did LEGO have but to include it? It's just a shame it isn't functional, but there is actually a functional instrument in this set, Hestu's maracas. Hestu is a character from the Breath of the Wild, and he's this big tree creature who dances around and shakes his maracas around everywhere. So when LEGO made their version of him, they had you put little pieces in the maracas, so that way they could actually work. The Deku Tree set also has yellow circles arranged in a specific pattern on one of the walls, and these represent the musical notes to Saria's song. In Ocarina of Time, Saria's song is one of the most iconic and emotional melodies in gaming history. Link learns it from his childhood friend Saria before he leaves for Kokiri Forest, and the song becomes a way for them to stay connected, even when they're far apart. If you know the song, you can recognize the note pattern immediately, but right next to it, there's a gossip stone. In Ocarina of Time, gossip stones are these mysterious objects scattered all over Hyrule that give you hints and secrets if you play the Song of Storms near them. So LEGO packed multiple Ocarina of Time references into one small section of the set. And remember, they gave you the instrument to play the song too. The Deku Tree set also bridges the gap between old and new Zelda games by including a Sheikah Slate. This is from the Breath of the Wild, which came out in 2017. The Sheikah Slate is Link's main tool throughout the game. It's basically a magical tablet that lets him use abilities like creating bombs, freezing objects in time, and taking pictures to catalog enemies and wildlife. It's one of the most important items in Breath of the Wild, so including it alongside Ocarina of Time references shows that LEGO is honoring both classic and modern Zelda. But now, let's talk about the Pac-Man set for a second, because there's a really cool fact about it that you might not know. Pac-Man's iconic yellow color was actually based on classic LEGO yellow. When the original Pac-Man arcade game was being developed in 1980, the designers were trying to find the perfect shade of yellow for the main character. They wanted something bright and instantly recognizable, and they ended up choosing a yellow that was inspired by LEGO. So Pac-Man's color is literally a tribute to LEGO. And now LEGO has made an official Pac-Man set, bringing everything full circle. But now let's talk about the Fortnite Mecha Team Leader set, because there's a really small reference hiding here that most people probably don't know about. This set comes with a minifigure that has a special printed tile, and that tile is actually an emote from Fortnite. Obviously, most emotes in Fortnite are dances, but this one comes from an event all the way back in 2019. In the event, the Mecha Team Leader fought the Devourer, and because of how big of a deal it was, Fortnite put emotes in the shop for people to purchase. All they were signs supporting either Team Mecha or Team Monster, but since LEGO has a tile supporting Team Mecha, they kind of accidentally referenced the emote. But now, I want to switch gears and show you secrets in LEGO video games. To start off, have you ever played the Sonic level in LEGO Dimensions? Well, even if you did, I'm sure you missed this insane detail. During the cutscene where Metal Sonic gets destroyed and hits Eggman, 3 different portals appear. All of them are dropping seemingly random objects, but the third one actually isn't random at all. Instead of whatever the first 2 spat out, the third portal shoots out a Sega Genesis console in LEGO form. And this is actually the console that the first ever Sonic game was played on way back in 1991. This is a super discreet reference and nod for all the OG Sonic fans. But if you know anything about LEGO games, then you know that there are going to be way crazier ones in this video. So make sure you watch all the way until the end. Up next, I actually want to talk about one of the coolest parts of any LEGO games, secret characters. I'm sure we've all unlocked at least one in our lifetime, whether it be Lord Voldemort in LEGO Harry Potter or Black Mask in LEGO Batman. But there's one character in LEGO Star Wars 3 that's so secret, you don't even know he's there until you unlock him. That character is Savage Opress, better known as Darth Maul's brother, and the only way you can unlock him is if you input the code MELLOW7. After that, he'll appear in the character selection board, acting like he's been there the whole time or something. I'm not exactly sure where you had to find this code, but this isn't the only character you have to do this for. One of the other games that did this was LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean from 2011. Now, back when this game was released, LEGO was dropping new sets for the theme along with it, and every set came with a poster inside. And these posters were the only way you could find the code to unlock the secret character. For this much work, you'd think it'd be a crazy character, but it's actually just Jack Sparrow? Nah, I'm kidding. Well, not about the Jack Sparrow part, but this one's special. When you play as him in-game, some music starts playing, and he and everyone else around him starts dancing. The payoff obviously isn't anything crazy, but it's still funny at the very least. Okay, this next Easter egg is a bit different. There is a rumor that you can subscribe to this channel in 3 seconds or less. I'm gonna start a timer, and let's see if you can do it. Ready? Go. Did you get it? I hope so, because it's time for the next Easter egg. It's a known fact that the LEGO Star Wars games have the most Easter eggs, besides LEGO Dimensions. But there's one in the Skywalker saga that always gets overlooked. When characters get knocked out, stars start moving in circles above their head. But if you look closely, you'll see that there are actually X-Wings and TIE fighters in the mix too. This is already cool on its own, but these icons actually change based on the character. Like for the Rancor in Jabba's palace, instead of X-Wings, there's food in there instead. Very fitting for a guy who was always trying to eat someone. LEGO is always super attentive to details like this, and it's especially obvious with the Hulk transformations in LEGO Marvel Avengers. In this game, there are actually 2 different characters who played as the Hulk at 2 different times. One of them is the Bruce Banner we all know from the MCU, and his transformation is exactly what we'd expect. But the other character is Lou Ferrigno, the actor who played the Hulk in a show from the 1970s. Back then, let's just say that special effects weren't so special, and his transformation in the game definitely reflects that. Instead of getting all big and buffed up like Bruce Banner, he sprays green spray paint onto himself and changes his hairstyle. Then, to change back, Stan Lee comes in out of nowhere and hoses him down with an old-fashioned spray bottle. This Stan Lee cameo is one of many in the LEGO Marvel games, but did you know Stan Lee himself can transform into the Hulk in LEGO Marvel Superheroes? He has the same animation as Bruce Banner, so there isn't anything special going on here, until you transform on the elevator of the SHIELD helicarrier. For some reason, this causes a huge glitch in the game where Stan Lee will have ripped clothes and green skin, looking very Hulkish if I do say so myself. Now, when LEGO games reference other video games, they usually only do it for other LEGO video games, like all the different posters in the LEGO Star Wars games, which I'll get to in a minute. Before that though, let me play you a clip from LEGO Lord of the Rings and see if you catch anything. Notice anything? Well, that eagle cry in the background is actually a direct reference to the Assassin's Creed games. This is something they've done in every single game, if I'm not mistaken, so to see it referenced in a LEGO game is pretty insane. Now, about those posters from before. One of the first times we got an Easter egg like this was in LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens on the Jakku level. It's a little hard to see, but if you go to the top of the map and peek into a round hut with a barrel in front of it, you'll see a very low quality poster on the wall. And this poster is actually the LEGO Star Wars 2 The Original Trilogy poster. This Easter egg was also carried over into the Skywalker saga, but there's actually 3 different posters in total. That same original trilogy poster can be found in the boarding level in A New Hope. All you have to do is walk through this electrical part, then you'll find a bunch of these posters sitting in boxes like they're in storage or something. The next poster is in Lake Payonga on Naboo, and if you go to the coast on the right at the beginning of the level and walk all the way down, you'll find posters for the first LEGO Star Wars game ever made. The third and final poster though is in Maz's castle. If you go down to the catacombs and grapple into this window, a poster for LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens will be waiting for you in the open vault. I guess when fans really like an Easter egg from one game, the devs bring it back just to show how much they appreciate their players. That is, until we talk about a certain Easter egg in LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. Once you've beaten the game, you can play as Darth Vader in free play. Obviously, one of his most well-known powers is his Force Choke, but did you know there's a certain person he can't do this to? If you try to use Force Choke on Padme, you physically won't be able to. There's no animation or anything to show you that you can't either. You just literally won't be able to do it. This is a super cool Easter egg that everyone really liked, but it actually wasn't carried over into the Skywalker saga. Not only can you Force Choke Padme as Anakin, but you can even Force Push her with Darth Vader. I tried it out myself in-game by Force Pushing a random Twi'lek on Tatooine, then turning around and doing it to Padme. And sure enough, I definitely could do it. I have to say, I was a little disappointed at this, but because of how much other stuff is in this game, I really can't complain that much. One game I haven't covered yet though is LEGO Harry Potter. There are a million different Easter eggs in this game, but one of my favorites is in years 1 through 4. In the Harry Potter universe, there's a non-being called a boggart, which manifests itself as the worst fear of the person who's looking at it. Well, once you unlock free play, you can actually see the worst fears of whatever characters you have unlocked. Most people's are Voldemort, which isn't surprising, but like we saw in the movies, Ron's is actually a giant spider. As cool as this is, there's one character in particular with a very interesting worst fear: Tom Riddle. If you go up to the boggart playing as Tom Riddle, it manifests as Harry Potter. This makes a ton of sense considering Harry is the person who killed the piece of Tom Riddle's soul that was in the diary. But it's still super sick seeing his worst fear confirmed in a LEGO game. While I'm talking about character deaths, there's one from the MCU that LEGO really had to censor in their games. The person I'm talking about is Quicksilver from Avengers Age of Ultron. In the movie, he dies protecting Hawkeye and a child and gets riddled with bullets, but this is way too gruesome for LEGO to remake in their games. So instead, they covered him in ice cream and just had him fall over. I can't say this makes a whole lot of sense, but I understand why they did it. I mean, the original is just way too gruesome. However, depending on how you do it, there's definitely a way to sneak in some references for adults. Just like how Indiana Jones and Han Solo are played by the same actor, the actor for Qui-Gon Jinn, Liam Neeson, is in a bunch of different movies. One of his most popular franchises is Taken, and the devs for LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga were actually able to slip in a reference to these movies. If you play as Qui-Gon Jinn and walk into Anakin's home on Tatooine, he says something very interesting.
I have a particular set of skills that will come in handy here.
Now, I can't say that he was lying. In this part of the level, you did need someone with a lightsaber to cut open a door so you can move on. But this is actually a reference to a super popular scene in one of the Taken movies.
Are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career.
I know these last few Easter eggs have been a little dark, but there's one more that I just have to show you. In LEGO Batman the video game, there's a place where you can find the origin story of Batman. Batman fights crime because he watched his parents get killed in front of him, and he doesn't want anybody to go through what he went through. They were killed in an alley behind the Monarch Theater just after seeing a play, and if you go to a certain part of Gotham, you can actually find that exact theater. Like I said, it's pretty dark, but it's still cool nonetheless. Getting back to the fun stuff, I'm sure we've all seen the reference to Jack and Rose from the Titanic in LEGO Dimensions. It's a super popular Easter egg, but it actually wasn't the first time the Titanic got referenced in a LEGO video game. In the opening cutscene to LEGO City Undercover, we're greeted with two minifigs chopping it up on a boat, when all of a sudden, they crash. We're then taken outside to see two different minifigs doing that same famous pose that Jack and Rose did in the movie. Now that I'm looking at it, that pose in LEGO Dimensions might actually be a double whammy. I can't say for sure, but I think the girl skeleton has the exact same hairpiece as the minifig from LEGO City Undercover. Am I cooking here or just going crazy? Let me know, guys. While I'm talking about LEGO Dimensions though, there's one Easter egg that you've probably never found before. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but somewhere underwater you can find what seems to be Marlin and Dory from Finding Nemo just swimming around. They're the only fish in the area that are this close to you, so I have to assume this is a reference to Finding Nemo. I mean, why else would they put these exact fish in front of you? As cool as all of these Easter eggs are, there's one type I haven't covered yet: post-credit scenes. LEGO game devs always put something in the post-credits, like the dinosaur from Jurassic Park in LEGO Batman 3. But in my opinion, some of the best ones are in the Marvel games, like the one in LEGO Marvel Superheroes. At the tail end of the credits, Nick Fury meets up with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and while eating a sandwich, sees something very surprising. All of a sudden, someone who looks to be Batman jumps in the air and flashes their cape in front of a full moon in broad daylight. We're then shown that it was actually Black Panther, but let's be serious, that was definitely a Batman reference. Another one I really like is in the LEGO Marvel Avengers post-credit scene. In this clip, the devs decided to recreate the scene in Age of Ultron where everyone tries to pick up Thor's hammer. It's a great scene in the movie, and even better in the LEGO game, but after this is where it gets good. After this, we skip to later in the night, and Stan Lee is cleaning up after the Avengers mess, when all of a sudden, he picks up Thor's hammer with ease, and accidentally electrocutes a chair, but that's besides the point. This is a great bit, and a super cool way to show just how worthy Stan Lee is of wielding Thor's hammer, like we didn't already know that. The final Easter egg I want to show you is actually in LEGO Harry Potter years 1 through 4. Harry, Ron, and Hermione are out of their dorms at night when they end up in Hagrid's cabin. Of course, Hagrid shows them some hospitality and gives them some drinks to settle down. Then, out of nowhere, random objects start flying into the cabin, so Hagrid opens up the window to see what's going on. The only thing he sees, though, is a scarecrow. But if you look closely, you'll realize that it isn't just any scarecrow. That's the Scarecrow from the Batman universe. Based on a bunch of other Easter eggs I've shown you, it's pretty obvious that LEGO loves throwing in cameos from other franchises, and as a player, it's super fun to see. But how many of these gaming things did you already know about? Be sure to let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.